So I'm going to share, this is a really bland PowerPoint, or really bland, I should say, Google presentation, not even PowerPoint, because I don't want you really focusing on this. I'm about to give you some other tools to look into, similar to that activity that we just did. But in terms of teachers, we need to know at every level of education that it is important to cite our work and to be able to demonstrate for our students what it looks like to be good tech citizens. Teachers at every level should be using digital resources in one form or another. Maybe not all the time, maybe not every time, but it's good use of the tools that are already out there to be able to educate our students, and we need to make sure that we're using those properly. So this is a model that was created by myself and 2 other classmates in that class this summer, a model for understanding Creative Commons for teachers. And I'm just going to read to you the headers on this. You can have this if you'd like. We did get a Creative Commons license for this model, and it's posted, so you'll be able to get to that, and you'll see the license that we chose for that. But the idea here is that as teachers, we need to learn what Creative Commons is, which is part of what you're here for today. We need to model the use of it. So whenever we are creating things, we could be using Creative Commons to be able to license those. But when we're using other people's materials, we need to show that attribution, whether it's copyrighted or has a Creative Commons license. Students should be seeing that on a regular basis. Then we can go beyond that. So that's the first level. The next level is to teach and to show students how to use this licensing and in terms of how to give proper attribution. So we teach students how to cite their sources in general when they're writing papers, but we don't so much do that when they're creating original works or creating mix-ups, mashups, and taking and remixes. So we need to start being aware of that as well. It's not just research papers that need attribution. So we can teach our kids how to do that, and then we can empower them by giving them tools to be able to continue to investigate it. Because this is not something that we're on the 3rd iteration of Creative Commons already, and so there are some changes that are made regularly based on the world changing, and so we need to give our students the tools to be able to keep up on that. Giving them the information to start with and then letting them run is okay, but they need to understand that it can change at any time. And then we as teachers should also be relearning with our students Creative Commons and understanding how our students might be using it, but also, again, understanding how things change. Yes, ma'am?
So is Creative Commons, like when you say it's changing, is that changing on like a legal basis? Like it went through Congress and they said this is how it changed? Or like who's in charge of telling you those rules?
There's an organization that does that, and there are lawyers from several different universities that feed into that. So there's definitely legal information. I should look this up for you rather than give you a half-hearted answer. But there are definitely, so we have several universities that are feeding into understanding Creative Commons and the legal implications and ramifications of it. But I do not know that it is regulated by our government, like copyright is.
Okay.
It does, we of course want it to be able to be upheld in court, so then that's why we do have that legal piece behind it. But I would have to look up more information to give you a better answer on that otherwise.
And that is the appropriate answer. Thank you.
So, understanding this now, this is where I'd like you to go back to the website. And on there you could see, you could go ahead and click on what I'm going to ask you not to, the Creative Commons Prezi. I'm going to show that to you right now. So this is one, and down in the bottom corner, you can't quite see it right now because there's the viewer, but there's Creative Commons attribution on there. We haven't even really looked at what it means to be Creative Commons, but we're getting close to the mark where I want you to be doing some other hands-on things. So we're going to just really power through this. This is the 5 levels of teaching with Creative Commons. That's the model that I was telling you about. Creative Commons are free, easy-to-use copyright licenses that work alongside copyright to enable you to modify the ways in which others use your work and the ways that you use others' work. So the 5 levels that we talked about was learn, and so here are resources where teachers can find out more information. Again, you have access to all this, so you'd be able to go and see these tools. Model it. How can you use it? Understand the licenses, use Creative Commons, ask permission if something doesn't have a specific license on there, and then where to search for material, which we're going to be talking about that in a few minutes, where you can get that material. There's a little video there that I'm going to skip by. Teach your students and teach others how to use Creative Commons and use it well. And this is where I'm going to show you this video.
People know that you want them to reuse your own work. Creative Commons licenses can help you do both. We'll show you how. world's exploded with digital opportunities. Now we can communicate, share, and work together using the exceptional distribution network that is the internet.
No, yeah, I can't pause that. And let me see, because this one's embedded. It looks like I can't turn it up any higher than that. So, can you all hear this well enough? If you can hear it well enough, this is a quick video on what Creative Commons is. So rather than me stand up here and tell you, the whole point of Creative Commons is being able to use other people's material, right? So I'm using someone else's material here to share this information, and you'll be able to access this to listen to it, tonight as you're hanging out on a Friday night.
Have you ever wondered how to download and share digital content legally? How do you let people know that you want them to reuse your own work? Creative Commons licenses can help you do both. We'll show you how. Our world's exploded with digital opportunities. Now we can communicate, share, and work together using the exceptional distribution network that is the internet. Information and content can fly between us in exciting new ways. But it's important to know that when something is created, say a photo, a document, or a music track, it's automatically protected by copyright. Copyright enables people to say who can share and reuse their creations. You must always obtain someone's permission before sharing or reusing their work, even when it's posted online. But what if a creator wants everyone to use their work, without the hassle of granting permission over and over? This is where Creative Commons can help. Creative Commons provides licensing tools that are free to use. You can apply a license to your work, which refines your copyright and streamlines how you give permission. Zach here downloads a photo called CC Kiwi that he wants to use in his science project. He can do this without asking Kerry, the photographer, first, because she's already given permission with a Creative Commons license. Kerry's license is legally robust, but easy for Zach to understand. She's told the world, including Zach, that they can use CC Kiwi as long as they acknowledge her as the original photographer. There are more rules Kerry could have included. Creative Commons licenses are made up of licensed elements. You can think of them as rules, and each have their own special symbol. This is attribution. It means that Zach must acknowledge Kerry when he publishes his science project containing her photo. This is non-commercial. It means no one else but Kerry is permitted to make money from CC Kiwi.
So this is saying
Tim wants to
these are the licenses that you get,
t-shirts
and
and
you can
distribute
combine them
to
as
friends.
well.
You can do this, but you must not sell them. This is no derivatives, and it means that Kerry hasn't given permission to change her photo. Kate can use CC Kiwi on her design blog, but will need to ask Kerry before retouching or mixing up the image. And this is share alike. It means new creations that use CC Kiwi need to carry the same license. Jack incorporates his own remix of CC Kiwi in his video installation, but he must share the work under the same terms that Kerry has. Each Creative Commons license gives permission to share and includes the attribution rule. So people who find a Creative Commons licensed work are automatically allowed to share it, but are required to acknowledge you if they do. The other three license elements are optional, and you can choose which ones to add, if any. Here are the 6 combinations that make up Creative Commons licenses. The difference between them
So
is
6
how
different
the rules
licenses.
apply when someone wishes to use your work. The attribution license allows reusers the most freedom, and the attribution non-commercial no derivatives license allows the least freedom. The attribution license and the attribution share alike licenses are sometimes referred to as free cultural works approved licenses. These 3 licenses restrict commercial use of a work. And these 2 licenses do not give permission for adapting or remixing. These 2 licenses require new works to be licensed under the same terms. To choose and apply one of these licenses,
This is
and
important.
to view their
How to
terms in
choose
more
it.
detail, visit us at creativecommons.org.nz.
And there's creativecommons.org without the New Zealand tag as well. It gives lots of information that we'll be looking at in a moment.
creativecommons.org/choose. There are some good ways to find other people's Creative Commons licensed work online. You can use a search filter by going to the Creative Commons website. Or why not try the Jamendo website for music, Flickr for images, or Digital NZ for New Zealand content. Using Creative Commons licenses could help your creations reach more people. Maybe you want to connect with others across the globe and take turns at improving a rapport. Or maybe you just want to have fun, remixing someone else's work. Whatever reason you have to share your work, you'll find there are scientists, educators, companies, and public agencies who are using Creative Commons. By opening up permission, just imagine how much we can achieve. Collaborating on what we hold in common, being open about big decisions, and finding solutions in the spaces between us. Let's work together, confidently and legally. It's good to share with Creative Commons.
Okay, so working together confidently, legally, but there was a good amount of information there on the 6 different types of licenses that fall under Creative Commons. Do you have questions or thoughts after watching that?
For me, it feels overwhelming because I'm a speech pathologist, or I'm getting my master's in speech pathology, and I make a lot of materials, and I don't care if anybody else uses them and shares them, and I'm like, I'd like to make myself available, but it seems overwhelming to try to figure all this out and apply Creative Commons.
Absolutely, and then finding just even after you decide how you're going to do it, like how do you apply those on there, and how do you where do you get the pictures and all that?
How do you make it searchable?
Yes, and see, that is the piece that students will be incredibly frustrated with, and so will you, frankly, when you try and find material right now. I'll show you some techniques for how to find material that is licensed under Creative Commons, and it's kind of infuriating because there's not a lot there, because people don't know how to do that. But it's the same way, you may or may not remember, I remember when texting first came out, and there used to be these commercials that said, to enter this contest, or to see this, or do that, then text this number, blah, blah, and charges will apply, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this texting thing, it's not catching on. I don't know why, I'm not gonna pay for that. And now, I text a lot. And I'm very comfortable with texting now. But there was a time when that felt really difficult. There was a time when it wasn't easy. How many of you feel like you could go onto a Google website right now and make all the changes that I made in 2 minutes? So you got to see me do that. So one person, and why would you be able to do that?
I know a few things about technology.
You know a few things about technology. Have you ever touched a Google site?
Yep.
Absolutely. The first time you try and give yourself Creative Commons license on something, it's going to take you 20 minutes, and you're going to be like, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this. But your students will be like, this is awesome. I've got this thing out here, and it is mine, and I get to tell people how to use it or not use it. After you've done it 3 times, you're like, all right, this is not so bad. After you've done it 10 times, you'll be doing it in your sleep. Okay. So it is just like any other technology, that the more you do it, the quicker you'll get, the more comfortable and confident you'll get. Right now, there's very little out there that's actually tagged and searchable as Creative Commons licensed. As time goes on, more and more people will get there. As we teach students how to get there, they're going to teach their parents how to get there. and then the world will start to shift in that direction.